AI was supposed to make everyone richer. Instead, this week, it shook the market. Suddenly, the conversation flipped. Not how much money can this create, but will I lose my job? Will my income disappear? Will I still be able to afford a home? Fear spreads fast and markets react faster. But here's the real question. Is this the beginning of an economic collapse or the kind of panic that creates opportunity? So let's slow this down and look at what's actually happening. On Monday, this article called The 2028 Global Intelligence Crisis by Citrini Research came out, and it laid out a scenario, the author's opinion of what could happen if AI keeps improving faster than anyone expects. When the article hit Substack, people freaked out. And here's what the article said. What if AI being wildly successful is actually bad for the economy? This was their case. AI helps companies cut costs. But how do companies cut costs? Well, the easiest way is reducing workers. Now here's the uncomfortable part. Workers are also consumers. Consumers make up 70% of our economy. People buy houses, they go out to eat, they take vacations, they buy stuff. Machines don't. So the article asks a very powerful question. If AI replaces high-income white-collar workers, who does the spending? You could have companies reporting strong profits because they cut payroll, while the overall economy weakens because fewer people have strong incomes. That's the core argument. The article says this can create a loop. AI gets better, companies lay off workers, spending drops, companies feel pressure, they buy more AI, AI gets better, and so on and so forth. It keeps on going. Then the article goes one level deeper. White-collar workers drive a huge portion of spending in America. If those jobs shrink, housing demand could weaken. Private credit tied to tech companies could struggle. Even tax revenue for the government could fall. Now, they say it's not a prediction, that it's a thought experiment. And they wrote as a hypothetical letter as if it were written in June of 2028 as a reaction to what happened. But the article is basically asking, what happens if intelligence stops being scarce? If machines can now do the same work cheaper and faster, the value of certain human jobs is going to drop. Markets would have to reprice that reality. The authors didn't just talk about jobs in AI. They laid out what they think could happen to stocks. In their scenario, the stock market actually rallies hard at first. Why? Costs are cut. Companies cut payroll, profit skyrockets, margin improves, AI infrastructure companies boom. They describe the S&P hitting extreme highs before anything breaks. But then the second phase kicks in. If AI keeps replacing high-income workers, consumer spending weakens. If spending weakens, earnings across the broader economy start to get pressured. If earnings assumptions change, stock valuations change. In their modeled scenario, the S&P falls about 38% from its highs. And if mortgage stress spreads, they suggest a drawdown that could rival the 2008 crisis. So their point isn't that AI fails. It's that AI could succeed so aggressively that it forces the market to reprice the value of human income, and that repricing would be volatile. Now, when that article hit earlier this week, the market didn't ignore it. The moment it was published, you saw money move because fear spreads very quickly. Let's go one level deeper. I want to show you a clip that explains exactly why this narrative is gaining traction.
The report that my staff and I released last month found that AI, automation, and robotics could lead to nearly the loss of 100 million jobs in America over the next decade, including 40% of registered nurses, 47% of truck drivers, 64% of accountants, 65% of teaching assistants, and 89% of fast food workers. Not just blue-collar workers, but white-collar workers as well.
We'll talk about that later, but next up is Elon Musk, who, by the way, I do think is a genius.
And actually, my prediction is, in the benign scenario of the future, that the robots will actually make so many robots and AI that they will actually saturate all human needs. Meaning you won't be able to even think of something to ask the robot for at a certain point. There will be such an abundance of goods and services because my prediction is that there'll be more robots than people. So,
but how do you then have human purpose in that scenario?
Yeah, I mean, nothing's perfect, But.
Guys, I think the question that was asked of him was exactly the thing that I grapple with. Like, okay, if we have all these robots, what's the purpose of humans? Do we just have robots do everything, make our food for us, we sit at home? What about income, things like that? I don't know the answer to that. I have no idea what that means. But what I do know is humans adapt. Now, before I comment even further, which I'm dying to comment on, let's do this third clip. It's from Patrick Bet-David, one of the most well-known YouTube personalities in the world, where he actually talks about Peter Schiff. Let's check this out.
And so when they lose their jobs, when their wages are compressed, how do they pay their mortgage? How do they pay their car? How do they pay their credit card? And we know what happens from there because we saw in 2007, 2008, when they stopped paying their mortgages. That's why it's fundamentally incompetitive.
So you guys are on the same page with what you think is about to happen to the economy. You guys both think there's going to be a market correction.
There's some huge problems that underlie the economy, but productivity gains from AI are not one of them. I mean, remember, to the extent that we're able to eliminate labor because of AI, that's a positive. That's a good thing. That's how the economy grows. That's how our standard of living rises. We find more productive ways to produce more stuff. The problem is going to be if the people who are displaced from AI can't find productive employment someplace else.
So guys, let me pause for a second. How are you feeling right now? And I'm not saying that to be funny, I'm being serious. When you hear people say AI could replace millions of jobs, that doctors won't be needed in several years, that the white collar work could disappear, what does that do to you? It's gotta feel scary, right? It makes you imagine your career, your family, your future. You start thinking, what does my life even look like in 5 years? But here's something really important to remember. This is not the first time in history people have felt this way. And it's not the last time people feel this way. Do you think the blacksmiths weren't terrified when automobiles showed up? Do you think factory workers weren't scared when automation came in? Do you think retail workers weren't worried when e-commerce exploded? There have been countless, literally countless jobs over the last 200, and I'm sure 2,000 years that have disappeared, morphed, evolved, and every single time, people couldn't imagine a world in which it would be better or what it would be like 5 or 10 years later. That's what makes it scary, the unknown. And investing is no different. There'll be times when the noise gets so loud, so negative, so overwhelming that you won't be able to see the opportunity on the other side. There'll be a time when the market drops and it doesn't bounce back immediately. Because that's what we're used to, an immediate bounce back. It could even take 10 years to see strong returns again. And in that moment, you're going to have to check your emotions like we are right now. And I promise you, when you come out on the other side, you'll look back and say, wow, I'm so glad I kept investing during that time. Because as Morgan Housel says, every past bear market and crash looks like an opportunity. Every future one looks like a risk. They're all opportunities. The greatest wealth building periods often feel the most uncomfortable while you're living through them. Now, let me show you why I believe it'll be no different with AI. Every technology that's created displaces someone all the time. But guess what? What we don't account for is what the new technology creates in new opportunities. I have no idea what it could be. Zero clue. But the point is, it always happens. When computers were created, did we imagine a world in which hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people became computer developers? No chance. We didn't imagine that, but it happened. We didn't see the potential of these things. When a car was created, guess what? We needed people to build those cars. So all the people who lost their jobs in the stagecoach, all the blacksmiths, they became factory workers and they made more money. I love the fact that we talked about technology does make everybody's life better in the sense of we become more productive, we become more efficient, and therefore we make money easier. Guys, if you really truly believe that AI is going to disrupt the world where we won't need humans, then you should sell everything. Go find a piece of land and just start growing your own crops. And I'm not being dramatic by saying that. That to me is the logical next step. If you really believe that all these jobs are going to be lost forever, that's what you have to sit there and do. Now, the internet. It obviously has changed the world as much as any other invention in the history of mankind. But what was being said about that at the beginning? Andy Grove, who was the CEO of Intel in the late 90s, said, all companies must become internet companies or die. I think all companies use the internet. But this was completely wrong. Some of the largest companies in the world, Coca-Cola, Caterpillar, Walmart, Johnson & Johnson, just to name a few. Guys, are any of those companies full-blown e-commerce businesses? No. Now, do they sell e-commerce? Yeah, but they still have non-tech aspects to them. In fact, that's a main driver for them. In addition, other non-tech companies massively outperformed internet stocks in the decade following 2000. Here's 2 interesting quotes from Bill Gates, who's obviously a very smart guy. And I know he's controversial right now, but let's take that out of it. The first one is from Time magazine in 1999. If you're a middleman, the internet's promise of cheaper prices and faster service can disintermediate you, eliminate your role of assisting the transaction between the producer and the consumer. If the internet is about to disintermediate you, one tack is to use the internet to get back into action. I love that quote because what he's saying to people is, hey, the internet will disrupt your life. Now use the internet to disrupt other things and help you become better. Same thing with AI, same thing with all these other technologies. Somebody will figure out a way to create jobs. Guys, look at it 100 years ago. In order to have a multi-billion-dollar corporation or several hundred million, what'd you need? Tons of factories, tons of workers. Nowadays, we have startups selling with 20 people in them for multi-billion dollars. Technology makes people's lives better. Some of the worst lives today in the US are probably better than the best lives that were existing 200 years ago. Maybe even 100, I don't know. But it's funny to me that people sit there and compare and just think about money as the reason why life is better. No, technology made everyone's life better. Now, Bill Gates also said in 1999 that 2 years from now, spam email will be solved. LOL. Every day I go in my email, my spam folder, and empty it out twice a day. So I want you guys to take away here is that even the brightest minds can and will be wrong when making predictions. There's still so many middlemen out there today. Insurance brokers. God, that's a $300 billion market to be the intermediary between companies and carriers. You guys know one of my areas of expertise is real estate. People still use agents every single day to buy and sell properties. So many business leaders in the 1990s and early 2000s made claims about how the internet would eliminate jobs, but how it would change the world. Guys, I want you guys to go on the internet and search for some of the biggest doomsday comments from every single decade and see what our friend Warren Buffett wrote an article, I believe, in the late 70s where he talked about 7% inflation for the foreseeable future. That did not happen. I remember Roger Smith, chairman of GM at the time, said by 2000, we'd have an entirely paperless society. Guys, we still use paper. My entire desk is filled with paper right now. But my point is, you have to remember that even the smartest people are wrong a lot. And now that we've covered what's being said about AI today, what was said about the internet in 2000, I want to give you guys my real honest thoughts on all of this. So first off, Elon Musk is brilliant because of the optimism that he has about the future. But guys, he's literally almost never hit the timelines and huge ambitions that he lays out. Did you hear him say that Tesla would see declining revenue for 4 straight quarters? Not declining growth, literally declining revenue. Of course not. So is it possible that jobs are absolutely useless in 3 years? Sure. Some jobs will be, but I have a hard time believing that surgeons will be obsolete completely. But Musk disagrees. Guys, listen to this clip.
Do you think Optimus will be a better surgeon than the best surgeons? How long for that?
3 years.
3 years. Okay. Yeah. And by the way, that's
I'd say 3 years at scale.
Yes.
There'll probably be more Optimus robots that are great surgeons than there are all surgeons on Earth.
And the cost of that. But that's an important statement in 3 years' time.
Yeah.
Because medicine, I mean,
I'm not like absolutely certain, but I'd say if you say like 4 years, I'd be absolutely
If it's 4 or 5 years, who cares? That's still an
extreme precision.
Yes.
3 years. Yes. Better than any, probably, I'd say if you like put a little margin on it, better than any human in 4 years.
Who's in plastic surgery.
By 5 years, it's not even close.
I think your point was medicine is going to be effectively free. The best medicine in the world.
Everyone will have access to medical care that is better than what the president receives right now.
So don't go to medical school.
Yes, pointless.
Guys, it's really easy to sit there when new technology gets released and be excited about the potential it offers. The internet changed the world, computers changed the world, radios changed the world, airplanes changed the world, and AI is and will continue to change the world. And something else down the line will be far bigger than AI 20, 30 years from now, and we'll be saying the same thing we say about the internet now. We're so spoiled by the internet now. We don't remember how incredibly different it was back then. Guys, I'm a big fan of history. Look at every creation mankind has ever invented. Not a single one has actually destroyed jobs permanently without creating new ones. History doesn't repeat itself, but it sure as heck rhymes. Guys, the wheel printing press, steam engine, light bulb, telephone, cars, airplanes, internet. I promise you people felt the same way you do right now. So the answer is honestly, yes, I think AI will permanently eliminate some jobs, but it'll create a lot of jobs as well. It'll create better life for everyone. But we currently have low unemployment, 4.3% or so. That's very low. AI didn't just pop up this month. It's had an impact over several, but it's been going on for since the start of the internet, but only recently has gotten really, really big. The world has always adapted. And I believe we will always adapt and become more efficient, which is a positive, by the way. So let me propose this to you. What if AI increases productivity so much that it significantly reduces the amount of time that you need to spend working? If efficiency results in higher profits, companies can pay well for less of your time because it doesn't take you as long to do the same tasks. This is exactly why I want to hear what you guys have to say. What are your thoughts on this? Please share them in the comments because we love seeing the comments that are given to us on this channel. Now, despite of all that, our job here at Everything Money is to guide you through your investing journey. So you're probably asking, how do I invest with all that uncertainty? Well, the process doesn't change, guys. Warren Buffett didn't change his fundamentals at each turn when innovation came along. You apply the same analysis despite the shifts. He's been investing since 1955. The only thing he's changed is what types of companies he's bought, only because he had so much capital. And that's exactly why we consistently repeat the core tenets of principle-driven investing. I have these in my office. I have them at home as a reminder to myself not to deviate from the core of what makes me a sound investor. First off, we are investors, not speculators. Second, every investment is the present value of all of the cash flows it's going to receive. Third, if we don't understand it, we don't invest in it. Fourth, in the short run, the stock market's a voting machine. In the long run, it's a weighing machine. And fifth, a great story becomes a bad investment if you pay the wrong price. Now, guys, I want you guys to have these at your fingertips. We created this as a cheat sheet for you, absolutely for free. That way you can change the way in which you invest. You can be able to handle the things that are set out there in the media at all times. Come down to earth with the principle-driven approach. So click the link below. We will email it to you. We'll give you access to it in a matter of minutes. And it's going to change the way, if you absorb these, make them part of your life, it'll change the way in which you invest. Then from there, we build in our 8 pillars, our key metrics, our stock analyzers, so that you can actually understand the financials of the business you're looking at. And most importantly, it's important to determine what price you need to pay today to achieve the returns you're looking for based on your assumptions. Thousands of Everything Money members have learned exactly that, and it's life-changing for the way in which you build wealth. Guys, this is exactly why I'm so passionate about teaching on YouTube. I don't want you to get caught up in the headlines. I don't want you to make the wrong investments because of emotion and hype. And I don't want you to see your positions fall tremendously the way so many new investors do. Guys, I know exactly how it feels to be paralyzed by fear in the stock market. You're probably thinking, I know I should invest, but what if I buy the wrong stock? What if I lose everything? I had those exact same fears 25 years ago. I made massive mistakes. I followed hype, I followed tips, and I lost money. But critically, every mistake taught me a valuable lesson about investing. And that's exactly why I decided to build Everything Money, to take that knowledge and turn it into the tools I needed to make better investing decisions. Now, I want to share that knowledge and those tools with you and build the community that I wish I had back then. So join our community and you'll learn how to see a company's value, how to make smart choices, and most importantly, how to sleep at night knowing that you aren't gambling anymore. You're now an investor. So start your 7-day trial today. Let's take the fear out of investing together. Here's the big lesson in all of this that I want to leave you. Every generation believes they're living through the disruption that changes everything forever. The Industrial Revolution, electricity, the automobile, the internet, and now AI. And every time the headlines sound the same. So to eliminate jobs permanently, millions of jobs are gone. This time it's different. But the stock market doesn't represent jobs. It represents ownership of real businesses, and businesses adjust. They cut costs, they adopt technology, they improve margins, they create new products. If you think the stock market is going to go to zero because of AI, it means that you think businesses will stop making money. I doubt that's going to happen. If AI increases productivity, profits could actually expand over time. That is great for you as an investor. But most investors won't benefit because they'll be caught up in the noise and they'll make bad decisions because of the noise. They're going to sell the big names like Microsoft, Adobe, whoever it is, ServiceNow, because the headlines say software businesses will be obsolete. They're even going to sell the index because they don't know what will happen with the economy. But remember, risk and uncertainty are not the same thing. Monish Prabrai, a friend of the channel, who we interviewed a few years ago, always says the market punishes uncertainty as though it's risk, but it's not. So focus on being a principle-driven value investor who understands their process well and takes advantage of investment opportunities artificial intelligence will create. I know that's what I'll do. That's what the members of our community will do, and I hope you will as well. So one final note. This video was unique. We covered a lot of ground and different perspectives on artificial intelligence. And if you enjoyed it and you want to learn more about how to shape your process, watch the next video where I will show you a detailed description from beginning to end, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for your time.